Welcome, bienvenidos. This is Roxana, and today I'm posting this particular video on all three channels, so I'm not going to say one or the other. Well, I'm going to say all three. Metamorphosis Rocks, Avid Diva, and Rox Reads. Now, yesterday, I don't know if you guys know this. If you're on Twitter, you might have seen the hashtag, I think it's Rare Disease Day, because yesterday was Rare Disease Day. And one of the things that I found out while I was checking that particular hashtag out is that as this world stands right now, 1 in 20 people have a rare disease, which would stand to reason that why do we call it rare disease if so many people have them? Well, because of course you might have one, I might have a different one, and I might not know anything about yours and you might not know anything about mine. And the reason why I'm making this video, this is not a sad video. This is a serious video because I want you all to learn a little bit about this particular situation. And if you've never heard about this, please make sure you get tested. And if you've heard about this or you have any of the symptoms that I'm going to talk about, check with your doctor so they run the test that I'm going to tell you about later on in this video. I honestly don't know how long this video is going to be. And the reason why I decided to post it on all three channels is because it might explain why sometimes I say I'm going to do something and I don't get a chance to do it. Now, there's a lot of people that are always talking about how we should never have excuses and you should never have, reasons are just legitimate excuses and whatnot. I'm not making excuses for the stuff that happens on my channels. What I'm doing is explaining to you what's going on in my life and why sometimes I have the best of intentions and it just doesn't happen. So for those of you who have been with me through this journey or have watched any of my videos before, you guys know that I've had, in the last 3 years, 4 years, gallbladder surgery. I was diagnosed with IBS, GERD, and Barrett's esophagus. I have a little depression, but then again, my dad passed away 2 years ago, so that would not help the depression. I have anxiety. My mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I took care of her for 10 months, which means I had no sleep for those 10 months. In October 2016, my doctor said to me, either you put her in a home or I'll put you in the hospital because I was not doing well. We all thought it had to do with taking care of my mom and not being able to sleep because she would wake up in the middle of the night and, you have to keep an eye on them. Even with a little help here and there, it was not a situation where I could have a lot of sleep, basically. And so we thought it was just, I was tired. But I didn't get any better. In fact, I got worse. I have aches and pains all over my body. I get leg cramps for no reason. Like right now I'm sitting down normally, like normal people sit down. And in 10 minutes I might feel cramps on my legs and not know why I have cramps in my legs. I am always tired. It doesn't matter if I sleep 3 hours, 6 hours, 20 hours. It doesn't really matter. I am always tired. But then when it's time to go to sleep, I can't sleep. Also, I have a situation where I don't remember things for long periods of time. I have what some people call brain fog. Other people just call it memory loss, whatever you want to call it. And when your mom has Alzheimer's, that tends to scare the crap out of you. There are other symptoms that I might talk about a little later on, but those are the main symptoms that scare the life out of me. And so we were getting tested for everything because the concern was that it might be fibromyalgia. And the thing with fibromyalgia is that there is no test for fibromyalgia. You have to basically rule out everything else. And if you rule out everything else, you have fibromyalgia. More or less. I'm oversimplifying the situation, but just so you guys have an idea, because that's not the rare disease that I'm talking about. While we were doing all these tests, and keep in mind that in the last 4 years, I've heard my doctor say more than once to me, your vitamin D is low. I like the sun. I like to walk outside, so I didn't understand the logic of that. I eat a lot of fish. There's a lot of things that I do that would suggest that I would have normal levels of vitamin D, but we didn't see any other markers that were wrong, so we kind of left it alone until 5 months ago when we started to seriously test to see if I have fibromyalgia and rule out all the other diseases, he noticed that my calcium level was high. Now, the top is a level 10, calcium in your blood. I was at an 11. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but to be honest with you, if you're at an 11, you're in trouble. So he ran the test again, and it came, because he thought the first time it was just a mistake of the lab. The second time, he was like, no, it's high. We need to test you again. The third time when he tested me, not only did he test my calcium level, he tested for something called the parathyroid. Now, there is a thyroid gland, and I know I'm saying the name wrong, and then there's the parathyroid. And the parathyroid is 4 little grains of rice that you have in your neck that control your calcium levels in your blood. Now, surprisingly enough, this condition is a lot more dangerous than cholesterol, high cholesterol in your blood. But you see, high cholesterol you can cure with medication. So people know more about it because there's a lot of people that are on medication for cholesterol. In the case of parathyroid issues, the only solution to this problem is operation. It's very non-invasive, local anesthesia. They go into your neck, they dig a little hole, get the grain out, and move on. Okay, it's not something major, but it is surgery. And as we all know, there are risks that come with surgery. But that's not the reason why I want to talk about this with you today. The irony of this whole situation is that if you look under parathyroid symptoms in any search that you do, Google, go to Mayo Clinic, go wherever you want to go, the symptoms are very similar to fibromyalgia symptoms. Why? Because you have calcium running through your blood that is depositing everywhere, and it's causing you major problems. And the interesting thing about this is your calcium level is high, but the calcium is not getting to your bones. So you might actually have osteoporosis at the same time. So your bones may break very easily. You might have nausea, vomiting, and all kinds of symptoms. And GERD, which is one of the 3 things I have, is directly related to parathyroid. Now, ironically, IBS, which I also have, is related to fibromyalgia. So the question remains at this particular moment, do I have fibro or do I have parathyroid? Now, it has been determined by a doctor, and this was recent, that I do have parathyroid disease. And that is why I wrote a post on Twitter yesterday about Rare Disease Day. They sent me a link to a site where I should do a video and hashtag it, I'm invisible no more, which I thought was really funny because, as you guys know, I have a hashtag that says 50-year-old women are not invisible. So I was like, invisible, let's play with this. And so the reason why I decided to make this video, even though I was too late for the whole Rare Disease Day thing, was because I need every single one of you people, if you have, even if you don't have anything other than being tired all the time, go and get your calcium level in your blood checked. There's 2 things that you need to keep in mind. And I read this, once I found out about this disease, I went to an endocrinologist because I wanted more information. I don't have my own endocrinologist yet, but I've done a little research online of what endocrinologists that are on the know about this condition say. The first thing that I want you to understand is that there's a lot of endocrinologists that don't understand this disease at all. Okay? The second thing I want you to know is that there's a lot of endocrinologists that will do the test and then they'll do a scan. And I forgot the name of the scan, but the scan might come out regular even though you have parathyroid disease. And so they won't operate on you. They will just say, let's keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, you might be breaking down like massively and you don't know it because the calcium in your blood is not a good thing. The third thing I'm going to tell you is that there's 2 ways you can tell if you have parathyroid disease. One of them is obviously what I told you, which is the calcium level is through the roof. There's another one. If your calcium level is sort of normal, meaning it's on the high level, it's 9.9 9.7, 9.8, somewhere around there. So it's still considered normal. But your D vitamin level is low. You might have parathyroid disease. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody that knows myself well enough to know that at 51, I should not be this tired and in this much pain yet. And because I saw how my parents progressed all the way until their 80s, I know when they started getting aches and pains, and I should have at least a good 10, 15 years before I start getting the really painful ones. So I refuse to be a slave to all this pain, and I realize there's a possibility that they might operate and I still have symptoms because I do have fibromyalgia, and that's a possibility. There's a possibility that I see some relief if I have this surgery, and I'm very hopeful that I will. But the bottom line is this, and the reason why I decided to post this on all three channels is this. I had made a bet with myself that I was going to film every day for all the channels. I have not been able to do that. I film almost every day for this channel. I have made a bet with myself that I was going to read at least 50 books this year. I have 5 books that I started on top of my bed, and I have not been able to get very far because by the time I come the next day, I don't necessarily remember everything about what I read before. It is the most annoying thing for me because I love reading. I found a solution for that, and I'm going to deal with that, and you might see more content on Rox Reads in the near future. But what I want you to understand is that not every time you have an excuse, it's actually a bad excuse or not reality. There are so many diseases that we're finding now that people have that didn't even have a name 10 years ago, that many people still don't understand. Parathyroid being one of them. Fibromyalgia is another one. When people don't see a disease on you, they automatically think that you don't have anything. And that's a mistake because we do have something to talk about. So what I'm going to ask you is, as an adult, I don't care what age you are, go and get your calcium level and your D vitamin level tested in your blood and make sure that you're okay. If you're not sure, there are tons of resources you can use. If your doctor dismisses you and you have symptoms that sound like fibromyalgia and you want to get tested for the calcium level, and then he's like, yeah, don't worry about that, I would suggest going to another doctor. Because if you have certain symptoms, the most common ones being the tiredness, the brain fog, the pain, I mean, you need to make sure that you can take that out at minimum. And at maximum, if it turns out that you do have this disease, you can do something about it. So that's my video for today. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to share this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you need more information. I can send you some resources. And of course, share this with everybody you know so that they all get tested. I am very passionate about people getting tested, not only for parathyroid, but for any disease. And by the way, I'm the most skeptic person that you'll ever know when it comes to doctors. I don't really like them and I don't really trust them. But at the end of the day, if it's something simple and not something scary, and I could have had this solved years ago if we would have known, God only knows what I could be doing right now. So make sure you check yourself, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.